Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. I didn't plan to be before you all that long. First, as usual, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for educational, informational, entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel is not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information being presented. Please keep in mind everyone is responsible for their own commercial affairs. With that being said, all rights are reserved. Now, I wanted this video to be a quick follow up regarding a video I previously did on the black card. I wanted to let you guys know I'm gonna probably follow up with that again. I'm not going to be intimidated, but I wanted to respond to this troll. I didn't leave a comment, but someone, they always, cowards, people hide behind fake accounts. But I will respond sometimes. Uh, but I wanted to do a verbal response, video response. And what was basically briefly said, they tried to say, because they didn't like, obviously, they were trying, whoever they were trying to defend Pastor Tony King, PTK, aka Anthony Fisher, who was part of the Kingship Manor Coalition. That's the other name they go by, KMC PTK. When I told the story about the black card, and I want to let you guys know that was a real event. That's actual something that actually happened. I still feel a certain type of way about. I will never forget that. I may actually be really contacting the authorities down the line. I never really did, but my paperwork was still being held in their possession at the time. And when he resurfaced a few years ago, he lied again. He promised we were going to get funded. And before they started the same okey doke that he did, but when I had attended back in 2009, that's why I did not fully commit to coming back, by the way, because they kept popping up surprises. And then it was like he's playing the game of good cop, bad cop with the guy, Gary Colombo, who also was, I guess, out of the Las Vegas area. I don't know who's telling the truth about who was holding my actual package and paperwork. And I spoke with a friend that used to work for the Department of Interior many years ago. I won't go into who they are, their background, but they basically know a lot about the military, the government, and stuff of that sort. And they stated to me, by this private clandestine operation, but this was a private clandestine operation, and I followed all the rules originally, and it's the reason I went public while I'm telling my story. And I originally had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but they violated their oath, their terms of the contract. And if you guys, some of you all know about Bo Pony, he even mentioned in the video not too long ago, when one party violates an egregious form of violation of a contract, is actually fraud. And the reason this is fraud because my documents, my social security card, my birth certificate, my DTC eligibility questionnaire forms, the thumb drive I submitted, Pastor Tony King, aka Anthony Fisher himself, promised I would receive these documents back. And it's not only that, he also gave me an ironclad guarantee that I would receive the black card many years ago. Even I don't really hold them. I didn't hold them to that, but another attendee who stated to me recently, another private source that I have, stated he, I guess, is not participating anymore because, but to make a long story short, he stated to me many years ago that he said, John, Tony promised you, and he gave an ironclad guarantee. And a good friend of mine that did investigate many years ago, had researched and found out some people in Tampa, Florida, had filed a complaint with the FBI. Some people in the Orlando area from the retreat that we had at the World Marriott Hotel. I didn't know anything about this, but on the private conference calls many years ago that we have, with some of the audios, I still have recordings of those. I can prove, I can validate, and some I've actually communicated with former members, because I have former people or people that send me stuff. I'll just say private sources that sent me information, and I had heard, because I hadn't been following it when I decided not to come back a year and a half ago, or whatever timeline it was more recently. And once again, to reiterate, when he resurfaced sometime around November of 2018 to 2019, it was that he gave another ironclad guarantee that we were going to get funded, and it kept turning into this. You guys may not know, for the newbies out there who still might be brainwashed, who may be loyal to his teachings, his followings, or whatever. He's been lying a lot of times. I haven't seen the in terms of the funding come to fruition. I'm not saying that it's not true or it's not possible. However, that wasn't what we agreed upon when individuals out there tried to claim, well, that XYZ, that wasn't a part of the original terms. He gave an ironclad guarantee on numerous occasions, and the black card was a separate transaction from the DTC transaction. I want to explain. There's people that may be listening for the first time or may not understand from the previous video. If you don't know anything about this, by the way, I'm not a money hungry person. I still work a 9-to-5 job. This proves I'm not an agent. I'm still punching a clock at the end of the day. I want to clear up some of the rumors out there and vindicate myself and give accurate information as to what really happened. By the way, and that's why I know the reason I knew about the black card. By the way, I follow all the rules originally back then, you know, and he stated it basically out of Pastor Tony King's own mouth. The reason we were cut off at the time, by the way, was there was these people that violated the rules. One group, I guess, were having a contest, emptying out ATM machines. There was another guy who I heard bought an airplane, or some guy bought a fleet of either Rolls Royces or Bentleys or something, and they were being, he stated this, they were being too public or too flamboyant with their transactions, and he didn't even get around. And even people did stuff on a lower level when I first received it, and a lot of people didn't even get a chance to swipe it. I know one sister who in the Virginia area I was close to at the time, I would stay in contact with, and she died. And both of us just stated, and I had another source in New Jersey that stated to me he had tested the card out, and I didn't at the time until a little bit later on to find out if it was legitimate or not. And I have a private source that can confirm all that. I won't go into the details about that. That's neither here nor there, but just to tell my story as a whistleblower out there. But this video, to respond to this troll that's saying I'm a hater or I'm hating, let me tell you, you're misinformed. I'm not a hater. By the way, there's many people, not just myself. There may be people that are still loyal followers, but he moved people to the front of the line who I was told allegedly that got or received their funding. And I heard Gary Colombo even mention this on numerous occasions and said that's not right. And I'm not afraid to mention other people's names. When I attended back in 2009, there was a staff member named James Casavos. There was another guy I found out named Steve Thomas that allegedly is already up there funded XYZ. He was a guy praying at the first retreat that didn't go well back in October of 2009. There was like another spirituality lady who was trying to calm the crowd down, and then there was another guy named Steve Thomas. We have the audios to validate this, to prove this was real. And I still wanted to give Tony a chance, and I believe Pastor Tony King, and he's really not a pastor, by the way, in case some of you all are wondering. I was informed by a white woman that I spoke to years ago that was dating a black guy out of the Detroit area named Elizabeth. She told me at the time, many years ago, she said, John, he's really not a pastor. She kept telling me that, basically. And I haven't heard from her in years. Some people disappeared because they didn't want to be caught up in this. Some people may have actually got funded or whatever. But I don't know. But he didn't uphold his obligation to the rest of the members that attended. I want to say on the record, and they're the ones that breached the contract. And when one group, if you understand how contracts work, one party doesn't uphold their end of the agreement, that's a breach of contract, and that's also a breach of trust. And they talk about this stuff of being a good steward, and they were the ones that demonstrated they were not good stewards. And many of you all, once again, and may not understand, I'm going over the information really fast because there's a lot of stuff I forget about to tell you guys, people that don't understand that are hearing this information for the first time. Let me let you all know I'm still punching a 9 to 5. I would have been out of this job many years ago. But you know, there's things that happen in life, and I want to warn. This video is also a warning to you all, too, or any people that are still out there that are following this guy. By the way, you need to hold their feet to the fire, or anyone, with that matter, because there's just been so many scams out there where people have been conned and scammed, like the situation with the Bernie Madoff guy years ago. And people need to know whether something is legitimate. Now, I did say I do have a private source that shared with me some things. However, there's some things I won't go into details about, because it may, I don't want to try to, you know, I don't want to throw no my sources, my private sources who have shared information. I commend you all, the many private sources out there that I have, by the way. But some who may be still following, that have remained loyal or whatnot, you don't understand. If you were in my shoes, you would be just as pissed off or just as upset. By the way, I spent hundreds of dollars to attend those events many years ago, to meet the qualifications, to meet the requirements, only to have both my separate transactions just stopped at the last minute. By the way, is that's a problem, you know, and that's contrary to what I didn't sign up for. By the way, when some other guru out there was saying, "Oh, you just want it easy, or you're not going to get the money until the collapse." No, that they came to us. Pastor Tony King said they needed 5,000 people into the DTC. That's just the pseudonym name he was using. Anthony Fisher said we needed 5,000 people into the DTC. And I was invited to this event by my older cousin. I would be honest with you, I wouldn't have never attended, and I really didn't want to attend at the time. It was my older cousin convinced me in the DC area. That's the only reason I ever attended any of these stinking freaking events. And if I had known, I wouldn't have never signed up for this crap. You know, despite it looked promising and it was stated, to give you guys a backstory, I studied in the so-called sovereign citizen movement. You know, I don't use that term. That's an umbrella term that's used to discredit people. There is a legitimate side. You actually are working on becoming a private citizen, or more so private, and there's other names they use in the actual free sector that's separate from the private. There's a separate sector called the free private sector. There's another part of the private sector that's still public, just like there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. You know, just to give short end of the stick for newbies, people that don't understand, that haven't properly educated, because I had to clarify some years ago with a friend, and many people were saying, Dorsey, get over it, you got scammed, XYZ. But however, there's some legitimacy to there's paperwork, documentation I held on to, by the way, in terms of what I learned about the Federal Reserve Bank, their website, the application to the black card, why even with the TDA transactions, by the way, some people call it that, or the private account, or you've heard of the secret SSN account. That is truth to that. It's actually being blocked, and I know they were legitimate, and those transactions used to go through at one time. From what I was informed, those transactions used to go through with no reversals. Now, I don't know how many years ago they stopped it. They also used to teach this information in the school system. I have a private source. I had a subscriber who told me I got to reach back out to. I've been really busy with my work schedules. They had some private classes I was doing. I won't go into the details about, but they confirmed with me. They used to teach this type of information, and not only high school, and I confirmed college, but they also told me in high school as well. And they were able to connect the dots and told me when they took it out the schools, this type of information. I call it redemption education. It's what I refer to it as, just as a general term. I don't call it, use that umbrella term. It's like more so it's used in a derogatory manner to try to discredit people, to make them look like a conspiracy theorist, when I talk about the legitimate stuff. In terms of the movement, I don't deal with because there's many different groups out there. I don't know about all of those other groups that are out there. I have people come to me and ask me or send me sometimes. I am aware of different content creators, influencers on YouTube that teach this type of information, but I don't know about every single group out there. When people ask me about some things are planned, are made up, like federal agents. Like I believe that incident somebody asked me about, that incident what happened with some group in, I think, out of New Jersey area called Rise of the Moors or something. And I said they didn't even look like Moors. They had some standoff on the freeway. Said they weren't even wearing Fez hats at the time. But then I saw another group from when I watched the news story on it that showed some other members. So I don't know. I'm not affiliated at all with them. I don't know who they are. But I did give credit many years ago. The Moors helped wake me up back in 2004. There was an activist group locally in the city of Detroit. I've told the story many times. They were actually working with other activists, Hebrew Israelites, a Native American group, the Yamasee Moors of the Creek Nation. By the way, a brother named Ishmael, and the Nubians. So you had a combination of Nubians, Hebrew Israelites, and the Yamasee Moors of the Creek Nation. And there was other groups, conscious groups that were there, and that's what woke me up to the information originally. I just did more research on my own, being a natural researcher and a private investigator. I work in the field of law enforcement. I'm a security guard at a lower level. I've never been a police officer, but I know to conduct an investigation. I've worked with other people who are retired military, people who are currently active duty, or maybe I forget what you call it. They weren't currently on any tours, but they could have still been called up. I work with scuba divers, firefighters, EMS, just in the type of discipline, the profession that I'm in. You're going to just naturally meet people from different backgrounds, different walks of life. So I've asked questions, and that's how I have been able to gather information. And that's why I already knew about the do not detain list, that many people have questioned. Some trolls out there have tried to discredit that being real. But I didn't mean to get too far off track. But this video was about the comment, in regards to the comment that the troll left. They said something like, you're a hateful person. So it appears as though whoever this person was, they were under a YouTube name, DRK. They had a black Wonder Woman as a logo or something. I don't know if that's a new movie coming out or something or whatever. That when I went to the channel, there appeared to be they appeared to be in the into the Ifa Yoruba stuff. They had some candles or had videos posted. So I don't know what side, who they are when people come behind these ghost fake accounts and they don't want to show their real name, because I can have an honest debate with someone, and all I wanted at the end of the day was just to be simply cashed out. To the new people, some people were moved to the front of the line, and that's not fair. You know, even in Gary Colombo's own words, why would new people be moved to the front of the line? And people, original members from the 2009 group, I had to get time off from my job, and at the time, and you guys see nowadays they're trying to push the vaccine, like mandating. You guys know, some of you guys that know the truth or know what's in those mRNA injections, and I won't, go into that, because this video is not about that. But I said to an individual who was defending this person at the time, who I'm referring to, that I could have been killed. I see this as like they're trying to put me in a catch-22, where now they're trying to put people in a situation where they're saying you can't work unless you get get the poison, basically. So you see, this is evil. And then he's funded people from, I know this. I have a private source that told me some things, that people that got funded, and the rest of us were cut off at the time. Those who did follow all the rules currently at that time, many years ago, before I decided to go public. And this was prior to 2014, by the way. I stayed very loyal, by the way, but I said enough is enough. At the end of the day, I commend those people out there. I heard someone sent the email with me about some people that are currently active that were disgruntled, by the way, and are no longer going to be attending. I heard some people reporting PTK to the Attorney General in Ohio. I heard some email that was sent out, and I haven't even been, I didn't even come back, because I just felt in my heart it was the same shenanigans again. And the only reason at the time, the older videos that I removed on the black car at the time, was he had stated at the time when he resurfaced, I believe it was around, don't quote me exactly, I think November of 2018, I received a phone call from a source that I have, still one of my private sources, and they said that, hey John, Pastor Tony King is back out. He's got a call tonight, XYZ. And I heard that's first call, it was up where he admitted, he said it was 2,000 people on a call. Because of course, some of the same shenanigans would happen in the past. By the way, I heard it was a lot of alphabet agencies were on this private call because they wanted to know what the heck was going on. What was this, by the way? So I heard he did eventually come on the call. Somebody had came on where they told a bunch of people had hung up, but there was people that stayed on the line, and he ended up coming on real late, by the way. Then after that, it was consistent for a while as he was trying to recruit new people and then pacify the old people, or I guess the people who were from the 2009 group like myself. Him and his staff members or his minions or underlings, whatever you want to call them, were trying to convince us that we were going to get funded. It was going to be good, but he told me personally, I needed to remove the videos and XYZ. And I told him, explained to him at the time, because I was on these calls, I said, Pastor, it's not fair that people like George Soros out there, who's a billionaire, claims to be a philanthropist, is funding all these different groups. By the way, is it truly humanitarian cause? And what's the reason why it's taking so long for us to be funded? And you mean to tell me you have access to all this wealth and you couldn't get us funded? And that's the purpose of the black cards at the time, was supposed to pacify us, because they told us he needed 5,000 people allegedly into the DTC, that we were going to do humanitarian projects. And I was all for it, pay it forward, that we were going to help out, help humanity. I had wrote out a list of all the places I plan to help. Food banks, were on my mind many years ago. I even passed it along to someone else, and they encouraged people to get ideas. And it was even a private conference call I remember many years ago, where we had to go over what our humanitarian project was going to be, where they required us to write a 70-page essay. Now, I didn't get up to the 70 pages, but I had a lot of stuff written out, how I wanted to donate water filters. I wanted to, and this was way before I think the Flint situation happened too. This was some years ago, but my plan was to donate to churches, food banks, were some of my things. I was all in, but to go through something like this, to have this happen to me, just snatched away. The black card was a separate transaction from the DTC transaction, and to see, I'm going over a lot so far, so some of you guys have to, watch the replay to try to keep up, because there's a lot of things that I forget to understand. I'm trying to communicate to you guys that I'm a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not the people in this world that's trying to enslave you. I'm not with the cabal. I'm not bloodline. I was raised poor, in the black community. By the way, just to give you guys a little background, I was a church boy, mama's boy. I was raised in the Cleveland, Ohio area before my parents decided to move to Detroit. I'm a blue collar guy. So for those out there that were accusing me of being an agent, I can't be an agent because I'm still punching the 9 to 5 clock, which I shouldn't be, because I'm aware that working a job is slavery. And I'm aware, even when Pastor Tony King went over this years ago and said, read the book of Job. But it appears as though, and I was informed that it was people behind the curtain that are really in charge. But since he's a spokesperson for them, he needs to come out and explain what the heck is really going on. Because if you were going to recruit people in the public sector, there needed to be checks and balances and transparency, by the way. So I just want to send a warning to people who may be genuine, sincere out there. If you do get access to a lot of wealth, a lot of money, investigate these people, because some of these people are con artists, or they are really powerful in the private sector, and they use their wealth for nefarious intentions to control people, to enslave people. And it's like they're doing this on purpose. There's things I could point to where he moved the new people to the front of the line. And like I said, I have a private source. I have a confirmed private source. By the way, I will never reveal that person as one of my sources. I don't go into details about who they are or anything, but I have multiple sources. By the way, multiple sources. But this source in particular, you know, I will say I've known for quite a while. A couple sources I've known for quite a while, but this one in particular is a very reliable source, by the way. And I'll just leave it at that for those who question the validity, the authenticity behind this video. I believe in facts should matter. Real facts should matter, but accurate facts should matter. And I want you guys to know and understand, overstand the quality of information that I present is highly accurate. This information is genuine. It's from my heart. I don't know what can be done other than just reporting these people to private investigators, law enforcement agencies. I heard some people did report to the U.S. Marshals. I heard my friend that investigated these people told me, showed me and sent to me. I believe it's been erased from the internet if you can still find it. But I found out this was some years ago. A good friend of mine that has a background with the military. I found out he used to work for the Department of Interior many years ago. I won't go into the details about it. You guys know that's from Washington D.C. and he explained to me at the time, sent the documents, because Pastor Tony King, if you're wondering, he admitted his real actual name many years ago too, before the newer group, before what he said what his name was, because I remember listening to the conference call where the lady, she sounded like she had a Haitian accent or Dominican, and asked him what his real name was, and he didn't want to say at first, but he had already sent, in case you're wondering, this is not doxing, he sent many years ago a file that he told the followers from the original 2009 group and moving forward to 2012 and beyond. He told them about this DBA filing he had in Ohio area that you still might be able to pull up and find, by the way, that listed showed his real name. And he went into some of the history or whatever, whoever he was, that he was almost born on the other side, etc. I didn't understand all of this, but he actually shared that information many years ago, in case you're wondering, for the troll out there, if they are listening, because I want you guys to know we've gone over this before. I do have gatekeepers. There are minions, underlinks that watch this channel. I call them villains, by the way, and they are trying to enslave humanity. By the way, there are people who are they pose, because remember this is talked about in the Bible, that Satan appears the angel of light. And what is Satan? You know the story of Lucifer. These are allegories, by the way. You know the story of Lucifer. He used to sing in the choir in heaven. He was kicked out by God, and God, when he appointed Michael, the archangel, to take over. Some people say it was Gabriel, where they were high ranked, but Lucifer was kicked out of heaven because he, according to the storyline, he rebelled. So sometimes these people, they will pose as Christians and philanthropists. You got to watch this. They will pose as Christians, philanthropists, good, well-meaning people, but they're part of something else. They could be part of a higher order, high-level secret societies. I know some of you guys, some of my subscribers said they wanted to know about that. And I can work on those things down the road. God willing, I make it out of this situation that I'm in. This is very sinister what they did. It's a lot of, like I said, a lot of things I forget about to tell you guys, to explain intricate details, so you guys could say, wow, because I know the women out there, a lot of women, are emotional and have a tendency sometimes to believe the side of the system. And it's like the movie, we're trying to warn you who the bad guys, the villains are. You got to really read in between the lines. If I was really an agent, you guys think I would still be punching the 9 to 5 clock, just like people were calling Trump, saying he's part of the establishment. Not saying the dude was perfect, but just using this as an example. They were saying he's part of the establishment. If you're part of the establishment, or let's say if I'm part of the establishment, if I'm a Mason, I'm a traveling man, or I'm part of a high-level Illuminati secret society, or I was born in the bloodlines, you think I'm going to still be punching a 9 to 5 job, going to a 9 to 5 job, punching the clock? You guys got to use common sense. I have a master's degree in basic common sense. Just to understand, you guys got to ask that question. And this was posed to me. At the end of the day, do I belong to the group that's trying to make you take the poison shot? Am I the group that puts stuff in fluoride in your water, that sprays chemicals on your food? I'm not with that group. But this guy, I will tell you, if he's not, he's damn sure connected to the people that are. You got to read in between the lines. Who do these people, or who do you associate yourself with? If you believe, who do they really have their allegiance to? If they're really genuine and sincere, their time that get us funded was yesterday, and the point we're at now and moving forward, people are just not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore. They're not drinking the Jim Jones Kool-Aid. We should have been funded a long time ago. There's some of us that still have to rely on these punk ass 9 to 5 jobs because we're being blackmailed into this shit. It's evil. I hate to be blunt, by the way. And then you moved other people to the front of the line that you got funded. And you claim all these people, they didn't come back and help. Well, if you had the ability to get them funded, then you had the ability to come back and reach back to us. You had plenty of time. Tony, Anthony, aka Anthony Fisher, Pastor Tony King, and you guys can look up the audios of David Clarence online. Look up David Clarence. I heard Pastor Tony King trying to say David Clarence was with the KKK. And, it's similar to the people, the social justice warriors, the ones that aren't genuine, that cry wolf. The communists, these different groups that always bring up victimhood when it's convenient. And you have the money already. You're born into wealth. You have the money to hire private security. I don't have the money to hire private security. That means all the death threats, all the agents that you sent after me, I had to defend myself. One-on-one. I had to be a one-man army. But understand, our government has been infiltrated by people. These are a group of high net worth people. I don't believe that all rich people are evil. My friend does. He told me he believes all billion, but I believe the majority of them have a sinister agenda, do have nefarious agenda, and I think it's set up like that too. Some of them have to go along with it. Once you get into, as Professor Griff talked about, the $20 million club on up. By the way, if you study his work, by the way, he says once you get up in a certain category, it's like you got to sell out. I remember one time Bishop T.D. Jakes, by the way, saying like he was a tough guy. I was explaining to someone many years ago when he had to meet with President Bush, when President Bush, the son of Daddy Bush, in the early 2000s, because Bishop T.D. Jakes was selling large books, had a massive mega church in Texas, and had the influence. He was a major. This is way before YouTube influencers with millions of subscribers, people like that, or Hollywood people, stars. They scrutinize them very heavily. And I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes used to be very adamant about his principles. Then I heard him when he was asked about things dealing with the LGBT groups, him being with Oprah Winfrey, who has photos with Harvey Weinstein still on the internet, when it was stated by some people that she was the one bringing women to Weinstein as a madam. Don't believe that the women, by the way, just because they're seen and by nature as being nurturers, peaceful people, they have secret societies too. Eastern Stars, Sisters of Light, high-level orders, just like the men do. And Michael Tessarian, who was a historian from back in the day, a friend of mine, put me up on my spirituality friends that studied astrology, that know about the occult, these high-level secret societies. These orders. See, by me exposing this, these evil people, these minions, don't want you guys to know about stuff like this. If I'm an agent, they want to keep this stuff top secret from you all. But I'm here to tell you, this stuff is real. They sacrifice people. That stuff is real. I had a friend that told me about this. I could have been some years ago. I won't go into the details about that, but I was part of a rap group some years ago, and they were saying you don't make it up. Professor Griff talked about this too, by the way, on a separate set of notes. You got to pay attention to. So there's information out here. You got to read in between the lines, and you got to really research and investigate if you're truly, genuinely concerned, and you got to see what's going on right in front of you on the news. What are they trying to push all of a sudden? And all these years later, by the way, and you guys might not know, some of you newbies who are still loyal to Pastor Tony King, some of you underlinks, some of you minions, loyalists that are still following him, got to understand, back in 2009 and moving forward, he kept promising to get people funded. That you're going to be funded by, and it will be year after month after month. Like, he made it seem like it was going to pop. Then on top of that, he gave it like an ironclad guarantee that we were going to be funded, by the way, that it was going to pop. This is just evil, by the way. I'm just telling you guys, this is just so sinister what I had to endure. And I remain strong, but I mean, it's only so much you can deal with. Just to be honest, it's when obstacles and roadblocks in life are put in front of you like this, where you had Forbes magazine that said they were going to divest, I don't remember the exact amount, but over millions of dollars just to specifically black women. They didn't say the black community, black family as a whole, because a friend of mine told me recently that the goal is to destroy the family structure, because if they know by rewarding the women, the majority, and then even if Pookie and Ray Ray type archetype is the breadwinner, he's going to give the money back, because a lot of times those guys are simps, and the women they're going to use the money to basically go along with the system, because they don't understand. Just like the movies where the guys, we're the people, we are the truth tellers that are trying to warn you, or the good guys in the movie, we're the what do you call the protagonist or the main narrator, the ones that are trying to warn you of the evil ones. Sometimes the evil ones try to trick you in the movie into thinking that the good person is the bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. Trust me, once again, you got to ask the question, why am I still punching the 9 to 5 clock? And I'm going to try hard down the road. I wanted to say there's a reason why I don't talk about the cryptocurrencies too. I want to thank Currency 365 out there. Big shout out to, by the way, I listened to the video he did, the commentary videos he did. Big shout out to. I want to say I commend him for the work that he's done. He's been censored just like me. We both have been shadow banned. He's had a bigger following, a larger reach. That's cool and everything, and we've acknowledged that. And he stated to me, he considered me an alpha male. I thank you for that compliment, even though I didn't really consider myself an alpha male. But a good friend of mine said he considered me a sigma male. Many of you all don't know what a sigma male is. You can look it up. There's videos about what a sigma male is. By the way, there's even a concept of a delta male. But I'm definitely not a beta. I don't feel like I'm a beta. I can get emotional at times. That's just my passion. I'm passionate about, not angry or belligerent. I'm just passionate about, by the way. So you guys have further clarification, but I appreciate the compliment, Currency 365. And I do listen to you, and I'm taking heed to the advice that you're giving. I'm working on that. Just the difficult thing throughout the years as I've gone through this, I just discovered the company that I work for now just got bought out, purchased by another company. And I had just recently, yesterday, I had inquired about my vacation time. Now, based on, jobs, they go by your amount of hours that you work. But this new company, I was sent the employee handbook because I called the secretary because they're not being transparent. That means like calling employees to tell them about the transition, to update them only with the new sign-in attendance policy schedule, stuff like that. So she said, you want me to send you an employee handbook? I said, yeah. I want to find out, just using this as an example. And do you know this new company that they've been bought out by says they don't honor vacation time. They don't have vacation at all. They have family medical leave. They have, of course, workers' compensation. I guess there's the law with that, military. But they said they don't honor vacation. So you know what that means. I've been working a lot of years too, guys, by the way, behind the scenes where I haven't taken vacation with this job. I haven't gotten any time off, by the way, because they're actually supposed to notify you, but it's kind of the nature of the work that I do too, by the way. You guys know, but before the pandemic, the company I work for has always had a shortage, a high turnover rate, and a shortage. And especially, it seemed like at the site I was at for some years, I had a consistent backup person over here. But it seems like the person who makes the schedule out, or the supervisors, the head guy in charge, I ask for certain days off. They don't want to work, which is like they try to sabotage my schedule on purpose. So I've had to deal with this on top of the working a graveyard shift, and it can be really difficult. What I've had to endure, I've had to be tough. I had to be mentally tough, and I'm a fight through this. The fight is on. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. I haven't given up. Just to give you guys an example, back in 2016, I worked 55 days straight. I did one stint that I kept track of. I kept track of one other stint that same year where I did 37 days straight. But I didn't mind getting the overtime at the time. But of course, I've gotten older throughout the years. Another thing, I know I'm jumping around, but before I shut this video down, I don't have that much time because I see my other supervisors back tonight. He could be showing up on the site pretty soon. There's a certain time he comes around, by the way. So I'm going to get ready to shut this down. But I just wanted to give my rebuttal to that troll out there, by the way. I worked hard to attend those seminars many years ago. Just to reiterate, I had to get time off from my job. I had to save up. I had to catch the flights. I had to meet the requirements of opening up the certain type of bank accounts we wanted, going through the trial and error of the first retreat where we ran out of time. You know, a lot of other things. And once again, I do have a confirmed source. There's people that did get funded, and someone in particular that got funded with that black card that I showed that was allegedly a sub account of the master account. You read the instructions, should be on the Federal Reserve's website, frbservices.org, but there could be some information that they are hiding or that they took off, snatched off the internet, similar to what Google does with the censorship, whereas though you would need an elite or private sector person from behind the scenes to literally walk you through, and it's very difficult, of course, but that will kind of clarify. I'm speaking in clues sometimes, or puzzle for you guys that really are genuinely concerned and want to put the pieces together. But I'm going to try to run through the comments real quick. I lost my train of thought. The other thing I was going to go into the details about. Shamark 11 says here. G Flores says, peace, my brother from Gregory. Appreciate you, Gregory. Just to let you know, Gregory, if you're still watching, been meaning to get back with you. Just to let you know, FYI, I appreciate what you're doing. Kudos to you, man. I love you, man. I think that lets me know, that brings joy that there's still good people in this world, despite the evil out here that's taking place with these higher ups. That brings joy to my heart. There's still good people in this world that are trying to help people out, and I've got to try to take some time aside because it's just evil with this job schedule I've had to deal with. As I was speaking of the person who makes up the schedule, I had to complain about the not giving me 2 days off. Now, I didn't mind doing overtime with the job, but it just got to be really hectic. And when you know you're trying to create a residual income, a passive income, you're trying to free yourself, and it's certain things that I don't like to make this a sexist thing, a racial thing, where we black guys, black men, some of us have to endure, to go through. And I know I've got positive feedback from the majority of you. I know the majority of my subscribers out there. I want to thank those who do continue to follow me. I know the majority of you all are good people, good, genuine, honest people. There's always a few, and some just don't understand. I had to clarify, but this is where I had to respond to this troll. They deleted their comment. They were under name DRK. They had like some Black Wonder Woman outfit, you know, whatever. And see, that particular group, I will guess a lot of times are with the social justice warriors, and they push victimhood. So I don't really push victimhood. I'm straight up honest with you guys with my roadblocks, my obstacles that I face. And these special groups or protected classes get help from the system. Like I mentioned, Forbes magazine, or the same group Forbes said they were going to divest all this money into black women specifically, not the black family or black man as a whole, but it specifically said black women. When you had all these groups that so-called cared about what happened with George Floyd last year, and said black women, all these black women came out, said I had black sons, I care about black men. Some of them, not all, but a significant portion. By the way, it's a lot of lies. Jennifer Hudson had a commercial where they said MasterCard is specifically going to divest money in the black female businesses, just black females specifically only. I don't get any help like that as a black man who's trying to make it where it's more important for us to be the breadwinner, because I want to have a family one day. I want to settle down. One of the things I would forget to talk about when I would tell you guys when I had to go through this situation with Pastor Tony King and the black card, and that was real. Once again, to reiterate, I have the audio files, supporting documents. I've kept to back things up. Some stuff I've never given out, but some things I have sent to other people to show validity behind what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to hate or nothing. I'm not a hater. I'm just being real. I want you guys to know and be careful of joining any particular groups down the road that claiming to do humanitarian projects, that are claiming to be Christian. Now, some groups can be sincere. I'm not saying, but you have to investigate. You got to research people, by the way, and it can be really hard to tell, especially when you're dealing with these people in the private sector that are real high up, because they're like almost they're above the law, pretty much. Um, I won't go into the more details about that, some things, but it's really difficult. So I don't get help from the system like that. I don't get Section 8. I don't get HUD housing. Well, my friend told me I had to deal with some of the things at my apartment complex where I pay rent to. But I have a good rapport with the property manager, and said she commended me, said, "Oh, how you pay your rent on time, you're consistent, and things." But behind the scenes, I know they're stealing from us too. They take your Social Security number, and you're supposed to recoup that money, but that's a whole nother story where the IRS is colluded with the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. By the way, this don't show you, and they make it difficult because there's like a backlog of so many people trying to recoup refunds, and then you do have the con artists and scammers out there that tie up the system as well to make it hard for people to get their proper refunds. But you're supposed to recoup that. Matter of fact, years ago, I used to recoup my rent when I had my taxes done at H&R Block many years ago. They would ask you, that was a write-off, even as a regular citizen without having a business. By the way, that was a tax write-off. Remember, a guy still had the paperwork. The guy that helped me at the mall years ago, that's now closed down, Northland Mall. They used to have an H&R Block, those tax service places. But they hide this information because it's used to use the banking system. Is used, debt is their weapon. And I have some old videos on that where this was talked about in a private video, by the way, that was set to private from a YouTube channel I was able to get, where they use the banking system, debt is their weapon, by the way, where it's done intentionally to where you can't retain most of the hard-earned money that you make from your job. Where these elites are so greedy, it's easier to make more money once you have money too, by the way. Once you become rich or several 100,000 and above, if you know what to do with it, there's platform trading, there's things, high yield accounts and stuff. It's easier to grow your money, but to go from the bottom up, it's more difficult in certain regards. But I'm learning, I'm studying, I'm gonna try to learn what to do to try to get out of this situation. But I just want you guys to know it's evil. Pray for me. I'm gonna read the rest of these comments before I shut this video down. Get out of here. Elohim L says, greetings, Mr. Dorsey. He the king, he did it. FR, y'all had not been playing. He was the only person I'm dealing with. I am happy, very happy he's coming back. Okay, and not sure what you had some typos in there. Said, hey, my helper has not helped me in 5 years. I haven't used my paperwork yet. He got like 10 racks and still asking for money to help me with anything. Okay, I'm not sure if you Elohim L, if you attended those same events or you're talking about someone else because you had a typo earlier. But thank you for the comment. Thank you for joining. Mary Saunders says, hello, Mr. Dorsey. Black Love 777 says just W in the chat. Not sure what that means. Just by itself, just the letter W, maybe for win. By the way, appreciate you joining. Mary Saunders says, I may need your help, Mr. Dorsey. Okay. Let me know, clarify specifically before I shut this down, Mary, what type of help are you looking for? By the way, I do have some people, someone who contacted me by email just to give a public service announcement I have to follow up from. I look up the area code. It appears as though they're out from the West Coast, by the way. So I'm going to hit that person up sometime. I didn't forget about you. I just hadn't gotten around because of my crazy schedule, some of which I've gone over. I've condensed a lot of information in this video, but I want to give you guys a further clarification, and I was going to do a follow-up video of the black card, what really happened, because I said that when I did it the first time, but I saw I had a nasty comment from a troll, which they ended up deleting it or whatever. But I want to tell my side of the story once again. So let me see if there's any more comments. Elohim says, me too as well. Mary Saunders says, I understand. Black Love 777 says, sorry, I meant right on. Keep up what you're doing. Okay, appreciate you, Black Love 777. Thank you for the encouragement. It's greatly appreciated. But it's been very difficult. You know, I've had my challenges throughout the years, and I know when other people they offer advice and assistance, and they may not know, and I just want to clarify sometimes. I'm a thorough person of what's going on specifically. And I've learned some things. Had I known, I'm about a year off in terms of the cryptocurrencies. By the way, another thing, this is what I forgot to go over. That's what I forgot is one of the reasons I don't talk about the cryptos. I was thinking about it. Different things was another thing that happened around the time that we were supposed to get funded. About around the time we had received the black card already, I found out that they had changed the elites that Pastor Tony King's associated with had changed the entire system. Did something with the banking system. I heard they took away bankers' securities license too, by the way. Because I watched another channel where James Lovett was talking about getting the LPNs funded. You want to look into the medallion signature stamp or look up, it might be under medallion guarantee. Look up what the medallion guarantee is. But I sat down and spoke to a banker at a Chase Bank many years ago who was a branch manager. I won't say her name, by the way. And she was a sweet person, by the way. And this was at the 7 Mile location. There was another location that was closer to me, but this was like 7 Mile location in Detroit, right off one of the locations off of 7 Mile at the time. And she stated to me they took her securities license away. And around the same time period, dealing with the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin had came out. And I've told you guys my story, but make a long story short, when Pastor Tony King resurfaced and he promised, and this is why I took down the older videos that I had, because I thought he was going to keep his promise, which he didn't at the time. I'm still not funded. I'm still punching this clock. And I'm and you imagine if you were in my shoes, you'd be infuriated. That was a separate transaction from the DTC, by the way, the black card. Completely separate transaction from what I was told, for those of you all that don't know. But to make a long story short, he started talking like he knew about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. So if he really, another way he could have helped us out, those of us that didn't get funded, he could have came to some of us privately and told us or showed us how to invest in that or gave us validity behind that. And that's another thing that pissed me off, that knows why I put two or two together. He is with the cabal. He's, with the elites. He could have at least helped out with certain picks, crypto picks, top picks. He could have told me about privately, could have helped me out with. So I had to connect some major pieces. I won't go into details. There's a whole nother video. But one of my sources told me about this some years ago. It's actually one of my, I won't go into details because I don't want to reveal too much about that particular source, what I was about to say. But they revealed to me some years ago that a certain individual came out, another person, and explained some things. Because you guys know there was no Satoshi Nakamoto that invented Bitcoin. There was a guy that was in a lawsuit out of Australia named Craig Wright. I forget, look up the lawsuit. And he said it was an elite group of people behind the scenes that put him up to create Satoshi. He did one type of transaction to prove that it was real. They wanted him to do another type of a transaction to prove that he was Satoshi. But he said an elite group of people were behind the scenes, created Bitcoin. Because, they say that there's the inventor. They arrested a Japanese guy many years ago who said he didn't know who Satoshi Nakamoto. They just they used that as a pseudonym. But this guy came out and was involved in a lawsuit because the other guy died. Look up the story with Craig Wright out of Australia, I believe. Well, he said there was an elite group of people behind the scenes. So it's like when Pastor Tony King, when he resurfaced, he was talking about trading, showing people how to trade. And I said he didn't even show that to our group of 2009. He didn't even show us that if he wanted us to do well or could have helped us out all those years. He was telling us to be patient. But before that, he was promising us week after week, month after month on private conference calls, we were going to be funded. Made it say, and an ironclad guarantee before he resurfaced many years later. And, it's just outright damn evil. And many of these elites, by the way, they're already born into wealth. So their children are eating good at night. They're sleeping good. So they don't have to go through what the frustration, what I'm going through. If you feel my pain, understand where I'm coming from. So that's it, guys. I know this is kind of like a rant too. I'm just gonna wrap up from there. I forget some more things. I might do a follow-up video down the road. Depends on how I feel. I want to clarify because there's always things I forget about where you guys don't understand. I'm not the bad guy. I'm the good guy. I'm still punching the 9 to 5 clock. These people breached their contract, which is fraud. That's one of the things Bo Pony talked about in one of his interviews, by the way, some time ago, when one party doesn't uphold their end of the agreement. So when you guys are asking about the NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and stuff like that, they breached the original contract. They were the ones that breached the oath, and that gets into fraud. There was people that filed a complaint with the FBI many years ago in Tampa, Florida. I heard reports down the road. I heard recent reports that defectors, people who were upset, were going to go and take legal action or go to the authorities, whatever. I don't know. This was relayed to me by some people, I guess, that were still attendees or that no longer follow. They forwarded the information over multiple people. By the way, I heard reports from it. I heard some more information that some people were very upset. But when he resurfaced, he was teaching the information about Bitcoin, which certain altcoins to invest in. He was aware of. I don't find that to be a coincidence. But if he really would apologize or felt bad for what he did, if I'm a hateful person and he didn't move other people to the front of the line and he pick and chose when it was people that already paid their dues and put in hard work, and he just decided to move other people to the front line, if you were in my same shoes, you would understand where I'm coming from. So I just wanted to provide that clarification. If he was genuine, he could have showed us, took us to the side, because I heard he did that years ago. So with that being said, guys, okay, so with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap things up. You guys can follow me at Dorsey's Resource on Facebook, on Twitter, minds.com, Rumble. We got to get off some of these mainstream platforms. Get on Rumble. Check out freeworldnews.tv, band.video. Until next time, guys, I'm your host, doing business as John Dorsey, the legal fiction, the in lingus. Peace out, deuces.